We have officially made the Trump tax cuts permanent. That's the largest tax cut in the history of our country, added to substantial other cuts, which is you're going to see like a rocket ship. You know, we're setting all sorts of economic records right now, and that's before this kicks in. After this kicks in, our country is going to be a rocket ship economically, and we've delivered no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security for our great seniors.
Woo, Mr. Brown!
That was a good one. Wow.
And there you have it. It has been made official. The big, beautiful bill has been passed. Congratulations to Donald J. Trump and to America for getting this done. Happy 4th of July, everybody. This is Trevor with Green Money Momentum, where we talk about market movements, making money, and money momentum. And that is exactly what we're going to be talking about today, as well as the big, beautiful bill and how the big, beautiful bill is going to be affecting the stock market coming up. And I believe that it is going to be very stimulative and that this is a very bullish catalyst for the market. And so this has been being talked about by Trump all year long and even before he became president. So he talked a lot about what was in this bill before he even got into office, what was on his campaign trail, and the promises he made. Of course, the most notable being around no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, and no tax on overtime. That was all in this bill that was passed today. So a big historic event, and overall this should just continue to push the markets forward, as the markets were pushing a lot this week in anticipation for this bill. And so the fact that it has actually been passed is a major catalyst. And take in mind, this is also going to be the biggest tax cut in American history. So this is huge, and this is only going to help stimulate the economy and help to stimulate the stock market as well. More money in Americans' pockets means more money into the markets, and we may be getting the perfect storm coming up as well, because we do know that the Feds may be cutting rates sooner than expected. But the markets in general this last week had a lot of hopium in anticipation for this, and we did see ourselves go from being between neutral and greed, and we did push all the way into levels of extreme greed. And so last week was huge for the markets, a lot of gains, and also the major indexes of the S&P and the NASDAQ did ride into new all-time highs. So we are right back to where we were right before all the retraction earlier in the year, and we are getting above the levels we were in February. And this does show a lot of strength within the economy as well, because during this whole retraction down and during this great recovery, there has been a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt around inflation, interest rates, and then also tariffs. But we have seen a lot of those numbers come in better than expected. And overall, the markets lately have been shaking off a lot of the bad news. And with this big catalyst, the markets only pushed up from it. And so it's going to be very interesting to see where we open up on Monday, because the markets were already pumping. The news got confirmed that the big, beautiful bill was signed. And when we do visit the economic calendar, not really any big news coming on Monday. Actually, nothing scheduled at all. So this is going to be a big opportunity for the markets to run. And personally, I believe that this is going to be one of the most bullish days in the market, because again, we have seen a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt over the last months, which did cause a bit of a drawdown at times. The fear, uncertainty, and doubt hasn't been as bad lately, and the markets have been shaking it off. But as we could see by the calendar, there is nothing on Monday that should bring us down. Also, nothing too big on Tuesday, just a consumer credit report. And then Wednesday is going to be the big day because we do have the Minute of Fed's May FOMC meeting. So this is going to be very interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what the Fed has to say and to see if they address the rate cuts, because we do know, again, Jerome Powell hasn't wavered on his stance. He has stuck strong with remaining stagnant on the interest rates, but there is pressure coming from the president, pressure coming from those within the Fed, and Jerome Powell is now even floating the idea that it could come sooner than expected. So there is the possibility that we do see a rate cut coming this month, and whether it comes this month, next month, or even in September, the rate cut will come. And with everything we're going to see from this big, beautiful bill, the markets should push forward, because in general, the money supply is only going to expand, especially when the Fed does cut those interest rates. And so something to think about with the markets, and why I am so bullish and why I ignore a lot of the fear, uncertainty, and doubt, even during bad times that are set out by the bears, is because if we just follow the history of the markets in 2020, the Fed really did show their hand that they will never allow the economy to fail when they cut interest rates down to 0%. So knowing that the Fed wouldn't let the economy fall and the stock market fall during what was perceived to be at the time as one of the scariest moments in history, well, we know going forward that the Fed is only going to continue to be more stimulative. And even if they talk about quantitative tightening, we got this high interest rate around 4.2, 4.5 from quantitative tightening. 0, we know with their quantitative tightening measurements that they're only going to be temporary, and we will go back to quantitative easing, which is going to happen very soon, meaning that the markets are going to be very stimulative. But not talking about the Fed, but just talking about the big, beautiful bill. This is historic. This is massive when it comes to especially being a young person. I know how it is with tips, and when I was younger working at a restaurant, when I was around 18 years old, it would be nice for those who work in the serving industry to not have to pay tax on all of these tips. So some massive developments there. Also, there's a lot of other things included in this bill. It does introduce more debt into the deficit, a lot of federal funding in this bill as well. So as we go through the years, this is going to be interesting to see how the big, beautiful bill affects us over the long term. But what I could say for the short term, this is going to be very stimulative for the economy. I believe between the Fed cutting rates and everything that we are seeing from this big, beautiful bill, we are really going into a golden age and a perfect opportunity to have a big cash storm. And I believe there could be a big cash storm in this stock soon, and that is DJT. So the president's stock, and with the big, beautiful bill being passed, we know that DJT does run sometimes off momentum of what the president is doing because of the ticker of this stock right here, DJT, Donald J. Trump. So possibly some eyes are going to be on this on Monday, and we could potentially see a bit of a push up in DJT, and we're going to see a big pop in all of the markets overall. There was a lot of anticipation for this big, beautiful bill to be signed, and now that it is, I believe that the pumping is only going to continue. With that, DJT, the stock, may see a lot of price volume and momentum in it, because we do know with DJT, sometimes it does run off of what Donald J. Trump is doing. Of course, the ticker symbol being DJT. And so with that, right now, when we look at the technical analysis, we could see that we are at a low spot on the candlestick chart. We are also sitting low on the relative strength index and also on the MACD. So a perfect opportunity for DJT to pop up some points and get back to what I consider to be the major floor in DJT, right around $21. So personally, I believe that DJT is a bit undervalued, and if there is a time for the stock to run off of hype and momentum, this could be it. And not just that, but we also do have a big short interest in DJT up to 18% as well. So if there is a big run up from this big, beautiful bill could put some pressure onto the shorts. So it's going to be interesting to see. And when we do look at the volume in DJT, the volume really hasn't gotten crazy yet. So the stock has been very undervalued, and a lot of investors in general really haven't been watching DJT. So we could see the volume is pretty low right now, but the volume has been a lot higher in the past. And when you get a lot of volume with a high short interest percentage, this is when you could get a massive squeeze. We are currently seeing it in another favorite that we talk about, Big Bear AI. He's actually the mascot back there, and we talked about it a lot in May with D-Wave Quantum, and that stock saw a 200% surge. And both of these stocks, Big Bear AI and Quantum, a couple months ago, both had high short interests. So a lot of shorts built within against these companies, and there has been a lot of shorts and puts in the market overall. As Tom Lee has said, this great recovery that we have seen has been one of the most hated recoveries ever. There has been so many investors sitting on the sidelines waiting to see the market crash, waiting to see the president's plan not pan out. But as we saw today, congratulations to Donald J. Trump and all the fans of him and all who voted for him, because his plan is right on track. So he is doing everything he has said. Whether you like Donald Trump or whether you hate him, you got to give him credit, because a lot of politicians are known to lie, but he hasn't been a liar here. He promised these things on his campaign trail, and now he is holding true to his promises. And so we're talking about DJT, the stock, in just terms of this big, beautiful bill and how the hype and momentum may go into DJT. But if you have followed me for long enough, you know that I invest into DJT for a lot more than just the hype and momentum. Although some see it as a meme stock, I see it because of the intrinsic value behind it. And we do know that recently DJT did make a big investment into Bitcoin. So they talked about doing a $2.3 billion reserve within Trump Media and Technology Group. So they did dilute shares a bit for this, so they could get their big investment into Bitcoin, put it into the treasury of DJT. But what some may not know is they are also doing a big, significant $400 million stock buyback program over these coming years. So that shows right there strength and confidence within the company, considering that they will buy back some of that stock. And if this confuses you, why would the company dilute investors and then right after that say that they're going to buy back shares? Well, that's because they did do the raising of the capital to buy into Bitcoin, but they are going to buy back over time. So they did get that extra funding from the dilution, but strength again within the company, because they are looking to buy back. And overall, this is the bigger plan behind DJT, and why I am so heavily invested into DJT, and why I believe so much in what the company is doing, because they are doing so much when it comes to cryptocurrency. They've made some big crypto ETFs, and now they have their big reserve. They're buying back into the company. And another catalyst to think about, this company does release their Q4 earnings in 11 days. But that's on the longer term with DJT. So for Q4, I'm not really anticipating a big earnings, but there is always the chance that it will be a big earnings. And if it is, that could only push the stock even higher. Personally, I do believe that DJT is going to run up on this hype from the big, beautiful bill. I think that the stock has a lot higher to run up from here, but overall it's going to be interesting to see where DJT opens and closes on Monday, as well as the overall market. I have seen some investors as well who are a bit bearish on the market, and they have been saying that this is going to be the big rug pull, and this is when we're going to start to see the bleeding in the market. But I argue with that point to say we have already got past all this recent fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and things only appear to be getting better, as well as the Fed with them soon to be cutting rates, which means we're only going to jump into a more stimulative time era. But overall, I would be curious to hear what everyone else's opinions are. I would love to hear if you agree or even disagree with me. Let me know why you think the markets will pump or dump. So please drop that comment in the section below. Please leave a like, and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. I appreciate you all, as always, for being here. Happy 4th of July. Go enjoy those those fireworks. Hopefully we see some fireworks and some pops in the market this next upcoming week. So thank you all. As always, this is Trevor. I'm signing out, and I will see you guys in the next video.
The golden age of America is upon us. We are in the golden age.